Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and what I was going to do is learn another language. So let's create a new REPL. Let's see which ones haven't I done. Done, 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 done. Oh, should we? I've been avoiding this one, but why not? Let's learn Haskell. Let's see here. This is always I've always heard a very scary language to learn. So let's hope for the best. Sorry, this language doesn't have any examples. Okay, that's promising. Okay, so let's go to Hello World in Haskell. That's always probably a good way to start. Okay, Haskell in 5 steps. That's promising. Okay, if you've learned to program another language, your first program is probably Hello World, so let's do that. So Prelude, Hello World. Okay, so supposedly I should just be able to do Prelude, Hello World. Just make sure that I spelled Prelude right. Is it capitalized? Yep. Okay, and that should return Hello World. Let's see if it does. Data constructor non-scope, prelude, character. See, the Haskell system evaluated the string and printed the result, or we can... Okay, I think this is sort of like the insert. So, you take that out. I think it's just this. Yep, there we go. And then if I wanted to actually do an explicit command, it would be put string line. Put string line. So, put string line. Is the L capitalized? But yes, it is. Put string line space. Okay, and then that puts it directly there. Okay. Cool. Using a Haskell compiler such as GHC, you can compile the code to standalone executable, create a source file, hello.hs. Okay, I don't think we really need to do that using a REPL. Okay. Let's do something fun. I don't know about fun. Let's see here. Your first program is a factorial function. Why is it always a factorial function? Why can't we just first start with something simple like an add one and one function first? Okay. But I can kind of see the syntax. So let is declarative. FAC is factorial is the namespace, and n is the parameter. And that equals this expression. So n1 equals, okay, cool. So in that case, if I wanted to create a function, let add 1, which will take x as an argument, which just equals x plus 1. Then let's see in the next line, add 1. And when I use functions, I use parentheses? No. So I should be able to just do... And do I need semicolons? No. Okay, so then technically this should give me 6. Let add 1, parser possibly incorrect indentation or mismatched brackets. Add 1, 5. Min report imported from Prelude. Let's see here. Guys, the program made easy. Note that you're using hugs. You'll need to use the definition of fact from a file called let fact n if n equals 0, then 142. That's what we did. Where x equals x plus 1. Okay, let's still add one. Scope main. Prelude. Do I need to do like main dot add one maybe? Let's see here. Of course, compile the program to produce a standalone executable. Do we need to do main equals add one? Very confused. Let's see here. Let add one x. That seems to be following the syntax we see here. Let the function name, the arguments, and then we have this. Okay. Yes, let's do a Google search. This is in Haskell. Line scope main. See here. And actual are considerably different. The reasons for this difference is the global two formats. Firstly, GHCI, so square me x equals x. So note the lack of let Haskell source files. Okay, so I don't need to use the word let because I'm in the REPL. So then I can just do this. Okay, and now it's complaining about put stir line hello world. Parse error, module header, import declaration. Well, I'm getting new errors. Okay, now if I go back and add the let back in. If I comment this out, which I guess I can't. So that's not working anymore either. Did I change something there? Got it. So note that the REPL here will still complain that main is missing, but you can then refer to square mean fruit in the REPL without worry. In other words, the error will still appear, but it doesn't matter because you can use whatever you wrote in the line nonetheless. If you wanted to suppress the warning, you could use the lines. Many things you could do instead. Here's a couple examples. Main equals run it. Especially though, in general, this is how Haskell. Okay, so basically, for reasons for the differences of the goal of the two formats. Firstly, JHCI is a testing area, not a code running area. However, Haskell source files are meant to run a certain process, which is named main. When you run a source file, the Haskell compiler usually looks for the IO action called main and tries to run it. In this case, there was no main, so it failed. Secondly, what you type was not valid Haskell program. These are declarations that would be fine in GHCI, but not in Haskell source. This would be correct in a source file. Note the lack of that. Haskell source files don't use it to declare things. Note that on REPL.it, this will still complain that main is missing, but you can refer to square me and my fruit in the REPL without worry. In other words, the error will still appear, but it won't matter because you can use whatever you wrote in the file nonetheless. If you wanted to suppress the warnings, you could write the lines This tells main to do nothing. There are many things you could have the program do instead of this. Here are a couple of examples. My Haskell squares, then there needs to be a main symbol at the entry point. Just like when you're compiling a C program. So let's do this. I'll get rid of this. And we'll say main equals add 1 5 parse error main add 1 do. Oh, Haskell. See, when I try the following in the Haskell on the Reply website, when I type in the source file and click run, I get the error. Okay, so yeah, so that means I should be able to do this over here. Let add 1 x equals x plus 1, and then type in add 1 10, and I get 11. Okay, so it works. So I'm using the language correctly. Which, okay, I'll just basically use this here on out. I'm not going to sit here and fight the compiler for the moment. Okay, so yes, that works. So that's how you define a function. Now let's see what else we can kind of learn. From here, real world Haskell in 10 minutes. Simple expressions, I get all that. That's just normal stuff. Okay, we do have increment, that's cool. Well, that's just actually concatenation. The console, put string, purchaser line, get line. That's all good. How about if statements? Okay, equals, we wrote a definition of an IO action earlier. So let's actually copy this. I want to see if this will work if I put this in here. Okay. What is 2 plus 2? 4. You're right. Okay, so that's one way to do it. So, yeah, so basically we want to define a main function, and the function has to do this. So it puts the line, then the next line. Okay, so then you're just listing procedures, I see. Okay. So if I want to do something like this, you know, what is your favorite cheese? Then I would do, and what was that next line? X.readLine. So X read line. And then what I would want to do is put string line X. And then we'll concatenate with that with is your favorite cheese. Okay, so let's try to run that. Oh, of course I break it. Couldn't match expected type car with actual type IO. Let's take a look how they handle that here. So if, then put string line you're right. If X I guess it's not what you get back. It's not necessarily of type string. And how to type Haskell. How to typecast IO to string. Parse the IO string in Haskell. Here we go. No, there isn't. And the fact that there is no such function is one of the most important things about Haskell. Haskell is a very principled language. It tries to maintain a distinction between pure functions, which don't have any side effects and always return the same thing. You can use a pure function anywhere, another pure function. You can use impure functions inside impure functions. The way that code is marked as pure or impure is using the type system. When you see a function signature like pure string, it's impure because so you can think of IO as a wrapper when you see a particular type. For example, you should interpret that to mean X is an action when performed as the same arbitrary IO type string. You ever get access to the values from IO? Fortunately, the type of function main IO it's an action that does some IO and returns, which is the same as returning nothing. So you can always use your IO functions inside main, but when you execute a Haskell program, what you are doing is running the main function, which causes all the IO in the program definition to actually be executed. For example, you can read write. So you can think of this structuring Haskell program all code. So given all that, how do you write your program? Well, the function read file path IO string reads a file as a string, so we can use that. Okay, so that sounds like it's not going to be. Yeah, it's not going to be straightforward. You think it would be, but Haskell sucks. Well, it doesn't suck. It's just a hard language. But people who like Haskell really like Haskell in the same way people who like Lisp really like Lisp. So what I can do is I can probably do if x equals Gouda, then we can do put string line you like Gouda. Okay, and then let's see, was it if, so it's then and then else. Okay, so then this would have to be then this would be else. Like, that makes sense. If put string line you like some other cheese. Error. What is your favorite cheese? Exception. No parse. Let's take a look. They did a comparison here. Fine lines. I always just remember that if you go IO, you never come out. So Chris wrote, I said I might help to give you some examples. All this does is bind the user input from GetLine to a value named line. If you type this in JCI, the type line will return. But wait, GetLine returns an IO string. So what happens to the IO-ness from GetLine? Well, it's what happens to is your IO friend. Below friend, it allows you to bring out the value that is tainted by the IO within a monad and use it within your normal functions. So let's see here. Put string line amount. Is what happened is your IO friend. It allows you to bring out the value that is tainted by the IO within a monad and use it to your normal functions. Okay, so it just flattens. Okay, so like a monad, as far as I understand it, is essentially a function that flattens itself. So it has a value and then it kind of like rises up a value. So essentially, like, um, it's kind of like it's like nested data that flattens itself afterwards. So you're pulling data out. It's not the monads are still definitely one of those ideas that I'm still fully wrapping my head around. But let's see here. But I can kind of see what it's trying to say. So it's saying that technically this should be pulling out the line, pulling out the data, so that way I can use it. So, because here if I say line getLine, all this is bind the user input from getLine to a value named line. If you type this in JCI, type line will return. But wait, getLine returns an IO string. So what happened is your IO friend. It allows you to bring out the value. So your normal function monads are easily identified because they begin with do. Okay. So if you're like me, you'll soon discover that lift IO is your next best monad friend, and that produce a number. How do you do? Your data. Now, if type in that GSI, your data. So let me see here. If x equals Gouda, and then where does this fall apart? Okay. So do if x equals Gouda. Not quite sure what I'm missing here. X equals factorial 5. I don't think this is a language that cares particularly amount of about tabs, but just in case. Okay. Yeah, so that's technically how that should read. Let's do this. Let's put stir line x no parse. Let's just Google that. This has been interesting. Okay, I'm trying to write a program that loops all the time for writing blah blah blah. Okay, when you use getCard, it will only take a single character. You can remove that new line if you call getLine. Exception, but I actually get this error. If I remove the last main, calling the program will work. That is happening. Exactly what I'm looking for, because I'm using it with read line. Here we go. That's because you're trying to read something with the wrong type. You say that line is a string, aka car. However, the input you are typing is the format of 1213, which looks like it should have line, string, car. You need to explain what a line is supposed to be. If you want a line to be a string, let me just see where they have line. Okay, if you want line to be a string, then where you're entering, well, why are you entering lists of strings at the terminal? Something is wrong with your logic in this case. If you want a method for inputting square matrices, you can let type line equal int IO line, Okay, so in that case, what's telling me to do main IO string. String, because it's not a list of strings. Okay. It's not very user friendly, and it doesn't see 12 string as a string. It will accept 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or even, in other words, the string has to be written as it would be in your program. In this case, you don't need to use read because you're just reading a string, so replace read line with get line. Ah, okay, let's do that. So first, let me get rid of this line here, see if that fixes it. That broke right away. Let me just see here that I type it wrong. Get line. Oh, get line spelt out. Get line. What is your favorite cheese? Gouda. Yes, it works. Okay, that took a while just to get that, so I'm going to stop there. We were able to define some functions. We were able to do some control flow. We were able to print string. But yes, Haskell is a very strict language. I'm sure that once you know all the rules of Haskell, it can be very productive. But yeah, that was tricky. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So that was fun. I'll see you guys later.